For UWF alum Harrison Peters, home is where the heart is.
The most pressing memory is just my grandmother and how hard she worked to raise two rambunctious boys.
A turbulent childhood and family crisis took young Harrison and his brother out of Houston, Texas, through some divine intervention, to his grandmother's house on Lakeview Avenue in Pensacola, Florida.
She saw what could happen if I ensure that my grandkids get a good education. I think about all the tough lessons. I think about me being dropped off in the corner and trying to sneak in the house, and she's sitting right there on the porch saying, you know the rules. That street light right there, when it came on, you had better be home.
Peters grew up just blocks away from Pensacola High School, across the road from the A Street Park, a place where formal education and life lessons only the street can teach intersect.
A lot of my education came from this place. I spent many days and evenings and weekends right out here. There's a powerful learning that occurs out here. And there are some guys that I ran with and played with and sat on that bench right there and talked and joked with that didn't make it. And there were some that were. But there's a value that happens in the community.
Harrison's grandmother, Alberta, raised the boys as best she could and turned his education over to the faculty and staff at PHS.
Oh, look at him. Look at my man.
Coach.
How you doing, boy?
How you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Oh, man.
Good to see you. Looking like new money.
But Peters was still a ship without a sail, a class clown.
When I was a teacher, I would characterize my students as fruit. So I had my peaches, my plums, and my apples, and I had my coconuts. Needless to say, I was a coconut.
A 10th grade science teacher, Dr. East, called him out.
She said, boy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, Doc, I'm tall, I play basketball, I'm pretty good. I'd love to go to college and play basketball. She looked at me and she said, boy, sit down. You're not college material. So I sat down.
Harrison loved basketball. He found a mentor and father figure in his coach, current PHS principal David Williams.
I think I curried favor with the yearbook staff that year. Coach was my harshest critic, but he was my biggest supporter and my biggest cheerleader. And you don't always find that balance. And I remember he was giving me one of those tough conversations one time at the gym. He said, this person is giving up on you. This person is giving up on you, son. I'm not gonna give up on you, but you had better get it together.
The sport connected him to coaches and teammates like current PHS boys basketball coach and fellow UWF alum Terrence Harris, building those lifelong relationships.
Y'all keep running. He said, well, how long we gotta run? Well, you run until I get tired. And they were like, well, coach, you're not doing nothing. How you gonna get tired? That's my point.
But it was an English teacher, Miss Robinson, who turned Peters' world upside down, sending him a message while giving him a priceless gift.
I remember one of the times, and her classroom was right down on this corner, and she would look at me and she would say, let me tell you something. This world doesn't care anything about your life circumstances, but I'm gonna tell you this. If you're not educated, it's a very difficult world for people who look like you. And now that I know that she was the first African-American teacher, really capsules the things that she was saying. There were lockers here. Yeah. And what you could do, if you catch this door at the right angle, maybe like this, and then you've got the locker that comes out like right here, she'd get me in there so the hall monitor couldn't see what's going on. She pulled them, and she would light into you. So I will never forget this corner right here. This is where we had a lot of come to Jesus meetings.
After high school, Peters enrolled at the University of West Florida, but he wasn't ready for college, at least not yet.
When I left UW after my freshman year, I still don't believe that I had the level of maturity that I needed to be successful. One of the things that I promised before I left is that I'd come back.
A stint in the U.S. Navy helped a young man mature into a student focused on his goals.
In July, I want to say, of 1995, I think I was honorably discharged. I drove literally from San Diego, California, all the way through to Pensacola, Florida. My first stop was UWF to register, get my GI Bill, and start classes.
Harrison found another mentor in another Peters. Desmond Desi Peters saw the same things Coach Williams, Miss Robinson, and many others saw in Harrison.
I could just remember that day I walked into Desi's office, and he looked at me and said, "You're back." And I said, "I told you I was coming back." He said, "Now let's get to work and let's finish."
UWF introduced Peters to more than just classes, studies, and the writing lab. A friend and mentor helped the psychology major find his true calling.
He set me up with a practicum where you go out and you spend 15 hours in a classroom. And I want to say the rest is history, because as soon as I walked in that class, I connected with a Harrison. And I said, this is where I absolutely have to be. So I changed my major immediately, elementary education all the way, and started teaching 4th and 5th grade.
Harrison Peters graduated from UWF with a degree in elementary education in 1999 and never looked back. Teaching was what he was born to do. A career in the classroom led to education administration, with stops in Chicago, Charlotte, Houston, and Tampa, where Harrison serves as the chief of schools for Hillsborough County, the 8th largest school district in the country. Peters oversees more than 215,000 students in 250 schools, managing the daily operations. The once unfocused young student at Pensacola High now shapes the next generations of Harrisons, helping them find their purpose, their North Star.
I get to create options and experiences and game-changing opportunities for students. And for me, it's an absolute joy to be able to do that every day.
And he shares his story of inspiration, love, and education with the world, impacting countless lives, paying it forward.
Thank you so much for placing that very, very huge expectation on me. Thank you for seeing that I was college material and I was capable of starting and finishing. And then thank you for bringing me back. And thank you for loving me. And thank you for being my brother.